So how many of you are in Facebook at the moment? Hands. How many? So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Only 6? You're lying. How many are in Facebook at the moment? Hands.
What is Facebook?
Okay, I will let you know later on. I will explain what it is. So half of you are, or 1/3 of you are in Facebook at the moment. Can you bring it on? Do you know who Facebook bought for $1 billion? Anyone? Instagram, exactly. I agree with you, but they still bought it, right? Yeah, you can say what you want, but they still bought it, right? So those guys are now, one guy is $450 million richer, other guys are like $200 million richer. Sorry? Yeah, but what it means is that those guys worked hard, and do you know what? Those guys were not in Facebook when they were listening to other smart people. So what I'm trying to say here is try to focus and try to listen to smart people. I'm not going to find out if this thing works for my system as well. How many of you are not from Estonia? Impressive. And that means that the rest of you are from Estonia, I guess, right? And the ones who are from Estonia, how many of you know who I am? Hands, please. Okay, that's fine. Do I have the picture somewhere? That's here, right? Is the picture fine? It looks great. Okay, good afternoon. My name is Raido, Pikkar, and I will use the next about 20 to 25 minutes to talk to you about how entrepreneurship works here in the campus. As I found out, some of you already know who I am, but for the rest of you, currently I'm working as the incubation manager at the Technopole Science Park and the Startup Incubator. I'm the one who has, in the last 2.5 years, developed the current system, the current procedures. And currently, I'm the co-founder of 3 different startup companies, all technology-based. And my past actually is in revenue management, so I've built up 2 boutique hotels in my past. I've bankrupted some companies, lost some money, made some money, lost some girlfriends, of course, because of that, because working for a startup company is not so easy. 16 hours per day is the usual thing. But I must be honest that it's like a drug, and you get addicted, and you really don't know any other way how to live, though that's the reason why currently I'm in 3 companies. So not so much anymore with the foundation, but still advising them about the system, the strategy, and with some of the more difficult companies. Actually, I have 1 company here at the moment. They're Fututech, who I'm helping as well, so I hope they have enjoyed my advice, and hopefully it's been useful. But I will use the first 5 minutes to just talk about the Science Park and the campus and how we work there. And then I will open up for questions about the startup ecosystem, about my experience, about my companies, about my past. If you want to know about Silicon Valley, about the VCs, about the capitalists, and everything like that, just find out, figure out what you want to know. And after the first 5 minutes, I'm open for questions. If during the presentation you also have some questions about what I'm saying, then just let me know. But let's start with the foundation then. Technopole is basically a science park, yes. But most of all, we are an environment. So we have been made by the government, the Tallinn city, and the University of Technology. And we are basically kind of a unique environment, because there's nothing like that elsewhere in Estonia. Currently, if you look at the numbers, it's rather impressive. If you think about the size of Estonia and the numbers we have currently on the slide, then we are the biggest tech campus in Estonia by far. But that's not our goal. We want to be the biggest and most important tech campus in the region, and so far we are doing quite well. We have already clients from Finland and from Sweden. We have corporations in clean tech accelerators with the Swedes and with the mobile accelerators with the Finns. And hopefully in the next 2 or 3 years will be the most important tech campus in the Nordics and Baltics. That's how it looks like. I hope when you have been here already for a couple of weeks, you kind of understand that's the whole campus with university. So we are kind of pretty much in the middle at the moment there. And it's growing. I will show you later on a couple of new buildings that we are building specifically for startups, specifically for some technologies. But just to give you a hint, those are not the last buildings, and in the next 3 or 4 years we'll have some really interesting developments in the whole campus as well, regards the IT agency, regards the expansions of Skype and so on.
Skype is a part of Tesla.
Yes. And that's the right question. That's a slide with some of the bigger companies we have in Ternopil. As I mentioned, we have 158 companies there, a lot of square meters, but most of all, it's about the companies and about helping them. And we have 2 types of help, basically. We help the bigger companies, the ones on the slides. For them, the services are usually about export, about networks, about gaining kind of connections or getting connections to VCs. And then we have smaller companies, startups. And for them, we have a special system called a startup incubator. The startup incubator, by the way, is built up pretty much on the same tools you see also in this room. So you see the business model canvas that Alex Osterwalder has put in place. And I see Eric Ries there, the lean startup guy, right? I know if you heard about Steve Blank, but I saw some books behind there from him as well. So they are all acquaintances or friends of mine as well, and I've used their work to build up the same systems also in the startup incubator. We see about 250 companies every year. Only 2 companies every month get the opportunity to come in front of our coaches, in front of our specialists, and if they're lucky, they will get into the process. The process is from 6 to 18 months, and you can imagine what you have been doing here for 3 weeks or will be doing for some more time. Now double that, triple that, and then 10 times 10. And that's what we try to do with the companies there. Not with the time necessarily that we put into them, but with the stress testing, really hard and harsh questions. And we try to put them in situations that they will get into in real business anyway. So we kind of try to prepare them in the most harshest way possible. Not with all the companies. With some of the companies, a bit more relaxed. If they're from B2B, they have really clear steps what they need to do. But especially with consumer companies, stress testing and especially pitching and sales training for the CEO is really, really important. It's all about the emotion, all about how you impress the people in front of a big crowd, and you have to be really confident about that part. So a big part is pitching training. Do you know any of the companies here on the slides? Some of you? I know Jan does, you know. Which one?
I know HP and Taxify, they were Latitude 59.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, by the way, I'm the co-founder of Latitude 59 as well. Some of the companies, for example, Taxipella is actually really known around the world as well. Just last year, they won the 2nd place in the European Venture Capital Association competition. Exobike is an electric scooter. That's basically, as you know, Estonia is going to be covered with electric charging station. It's going to be really huge, hopefully, in the near future. Toggle at the moment has more than 70% of the customers from the States, and they haven't taken any venture capital. And if you know what a hockey stick is for a startup company, it means the revenue growth, exponential revenue growth, and they have, perfect, then they have made it without any outside capital. And that's one of the things that we also try to teach for our startup companies and bring them the notion that they don't always necessarily need venture capital. You don't always necessarily need a business model canvas. You don't always need to kind of do everything by the book, to have a one-pager, to have a slide deck for 3 minutes and to pitch perfectly. Sometimes you just make a really good product, You put it out there, and the customers will most likely let you know if it's a good one or not. If it sucks, they will not buy it. If it's a good one, they will buy it. Simple as that. So always be careful with preparing yourself and pitching too much and making too many one-pagers. And if you have a venture capitalist or an investor who kind of feels like you are at the doctor's place or kind of starts to probe you too much, then most likely this guy is not the best one for you. They most likely don't understand your business and they're just trying to get smarter, and they are most likely not the most smartest guys in the world. As a whole picture, to let you one more time kind of grasp it how we work in Technopol, we have three parts. So kind of big companies, basically business development for big companies, startup services, the startup incubator, and then of course the whole environment itself, the 36,000 square meters, the laboratories, the tech facilities, the R&D centers, all that. But again, one more time, it's about the content and about the companies, not about the environment. Some of the services, I think they make sense. Some of the real estate stuff, for me, it's really reluctant always to show the real estate slide because, you know, it's kind of important, but it's not the most important thing. Some of the new buildings that are just being finished. So maybe you have seen the constructions just next to the campus. This one is now ready end of this month, or in one day we'll get the keys. This one will be ready in 1 month, we'll get the keys. And as you saw from the names, basically we are now building field-specific buildings. So it means that even the buildings are made in a way that for this specific field of startups, that's the best place to be. So mechatronics, for example, is basically a building where really precise measurements can be made because the whole building is basically built on really special stuff. I don't know exactly what it is, but you don't have any even smaller earthquake kind of things there, even if some bigger cars go past or anything like that. So all the buildings are made in a specific way. About the startup part, I already mentioned to you that we try to be harsh, we try to be really kind of a training camp for them. But all in all, the most important thing for startups is the coaches. So it means that all the guys who I wanted to work with me when I started up building the process are themselves also entrepreneurs. At least 80% of the time they are doing their own startup, they are doing their own field-specific stuff. For example, I can't expect from a PR person that he's necessarily an entrepreneur, but he's really good at PR, and for example, he's a full-time PR person. But basically the point is 80% of the time they do what they do best, and only 20% of the time we use them to help startups. And that means that they are always fresh, they don't turn into consultants, they don't turn into those official persons from the government and who are trying to help you, but really don't know how. We try to keep them fresh, on their game, and really doing their stuff. So when they come to talk to you, you feel confident and you get the kind of feeling that he's the same kind of person as you are. Hopefully in August, we'll open up the new space. The president is going to come and open it up. It's going to be called the Startup Incubator Hub, I hope. And there I'll be hopefully expecting all of you as well who are from other countries to come and visit me when you start studies here. If you don't start studies here, then just let me know. My connections are here. If you have a good idea, if it's worth investing, I'll help you with that. That's a short summary about what we do at Technopol and what we do especially in the startup incubator, some of the people, some of the companies. And now I'm happy to listen to your questions about the campus, the science park, or about maybe my own past, or maybe about your own companies. So questions?
Very simple question. How do you attract the new companies to come to you? Because I know I come from Latvia, and in Latvia it's kind of really passive, and I don't think that it's kind of good where like we are sitting here, okay, come to us here. How do you do that?
Do you know Tech Hub in Riga?
Yeah, of course.
You know Andris Persins?
Yeah.
He's the manager of Tech Hub. So Andres is a good friend of mine, and actually we've been talking about Latvia and how to help Latvia along. Currently, Latvia is about 3, maybe 3.5 years behind Estonia regards the venture capital, all the area and the startup system and all that. So we were in the same place about 3.5 years ago. And the way we started back then was actually helping angels invest. So the first step that we did, and what we're trying to achieve at the moment also in Latvia, is that we gave a 50% subsidy for early stage investors. So that's what happened in Latvia. If you wanted to ask how we get the ecosystem guys here, then it's already a rolling process. It's actually, as you saw from the environment or here, the guys know who I am and they know where I am, but it takes time. They didn't know me 3.5 years ago. So that's the thing, that you have to go for the first steps and you can't jump right away here.
Starting was like then start the backsaw, right?
No. So if you really want to know how to help Latvia, then first of all you have to make basically a public venture capital company. That's investing in early stage companies up to 100 or 150,000 euros. They don't take responsibilities, they don't make the decisions, and they leave the decision up to the angels. So for example, if 2 angels want to invest in the company, without many questions or bureaucracy, they will get 50% of the money from the government. No questions asked, no strings attached, basically you will get just a subsidy. What that will make happen is that this old money you have currently in Latvia, that we also have still in Estonia, kind of from real estate, from iron, from railroad, that will start to pour into the right direction. As you have a flat tax policy, I think also in Latvia, as we have here, that's basically one way of dealing with the taxation system. You just kind of direct the money in the right direction into the place where most likely there will be a scalable business, there will be something that will grow big, potentially a new Skype. Yeah?
How many companies from startups are not related to web,
Not related to?
World Wide Web? Not focused on the...
In Estonia or in the incubator?
No, in incubator.
In Estonia in general, I think it's about 70% are ICT based, 70%. In the incubator, we will try to push the number down. So we are helping more, trying to help more clean tech, more nanotech, more real stuff. So it's about 55, 60, but still majority is ICT. It's because of the Estonian historic background in math and physics, and also because of Skype. It's a big influence and you can't really compete with that. But yeah, 60-40, 70-30. More questions?
Aren't other countries in the region also developing like similar centers?
The nearest example you can see actually also in Estonia, a brand name that's really similar to ours. And the Ülemiste city next to the airport, you can see something called Technopolis real estate development. So actually they used to be similar to us. But what happened to them, they are a Finnish company and they are basically a real estate company now. But they used to be a science park. What happened to them is they went towards the real estate part because they went public. They needed to please the shareholders, and sometimes with innovation and tech development, it's really hard to please the shareholders in the early stage. So they pretty much killed the innovation part in their system. In Sweden, they're doing a bit better. Chista Science City is doing quite well. They have the Sting Accelerator. The whole Chalmers University in south of Sweden is doing really well. Norway is not doing so well. They have too much money, basically, and they don't know what to do with it, so it doesn't really get to the innovation part. But I would say that Chista and Sting in Sweden are the most closest part. And I'm really also happy about the Aalto University in Finland. That's doing really well. So maybe those two centers are kind of similar or trying to do the same thing. More questions?
How easy it is to get a technical profile, to find out technical profile to start up a startup?
To get the technical person?
No engineering, ITs, developers, software.
How to get developers, basically. Well, I have currently 3 companies, so I deal with this problem every day. It's extremely difficult. It's a whole European issue, by the way, because if, for example, in Silicon Valley or in Boston, also in London, even more, entrepreneurs and engineers and even tech people understand the value of options, of shares in a company. In Europe, and that for also in Estonia, if you tell to an engineer that, yes, I cannot pay you at the moment the regular salary, I will pay you 50% in real money, but I will give you options and shares in the company, then they don't understand the value. And you as a businessman or the entrepreneur or inventor, whoever wants to go forward with the company, you need more people, but they don't understand the value and the potential. So that's the most difficult part. So that has made it really pretty much impossible to fight directly with guys like Skype or Web Media or Nortal or Microsoft who are trying to just take people over with really high salaries. What we have done, of course, is I just went to Spain, for example. And Spain is not doing so well. So they have like young people who are smart. They don't get a job there, but we have invited them to come over. So it might sound strange, but we need to go to Spain to get really good engineers. And we also hope that the borders and the visa system with Russia will open up a bit. So we don't need the visa system to change, but we just need a simplified process for good engineers. It means that if they want to come here and we want to hire them, then currently the system is not helping that. So in Estonia, there's always a shortage. We have many good companies in the IT field. And I know Skype at the moment has the most of the guys coming from Finland. So because Nokia is falling apart, and that's a good thing for us. Not so good for them, but good for us. But it's not enough. And they are only one type of engineers. So the answer is difficult, but it's not impossible. If you have a good idea, if you have something worth developing for, then there's usually no problem of getting also the money, so you can also pay them if you want to. The investors will always give money to a good idea, so it's not really a problem. It's a hassle, but not a problem. Any more questions?
Just curious to know, Silicon Valley, does it play a part in your plans?
Yes. At the moment, actually, one of my company that's called Marine Explorer has the headquarters, and it's made in Delaware, and we have a business license in California. So it's basically our address is in Sunnyvale, and it's made in Delaware. And the second company has also, it's a Delaware company. Our lawyers are in Page Mill Road, so it's in the smack down middle of California, and we have a business license in Florida. So for IT companies, yeah, 50–60% of the time, it's worth taking a look at Silicon Valley. Not to stay there, not because the market is there, but the know-how about IT companies and know-how about how to develop a startup company. It's really high there, so the lawyers understand you right away. They don't take the money in advance. They will say, okay, pay me in 6 months after you have gotten the investment. The investors are really high risk-taking, and the engineers understand what's the worth of options. So yeah, in all of my companies, if they are IT-based, it always plays a role. The question is, do you always want to be having the mother company there and the subsidiary here, or the other way around? Because you can still have maybe usage of the European funds, and you can use them for development. So you can maybe even sometimes do a system where you have a headquarters in Silicon Valley and a subsidy here in Estonia, elsewhere in Europe. So you can fund the development to the European company, and then if you want to do risk profiling or risk kind of taking adventures, then you use the mother company for that. So for IT thing, yeah, you don't really get anyway without Silicon Valley, at the moment at least. Maybe in 10–15 years, Singapore and Taiwan and the Asian parts will take over. Any last questions? I have at least room for one.
With such higher responsibility, do you sleep well?
Honestly?
If you have a time for that.
Now I do. I used to be, when I was 21, I had my first high responsibility job. Then I had a problem with that. I was 21. I was responsible for 300 people. I was CEO of the biggest hotel in Old Town. And then it was hard. Yeah, I slept like 3 hours and 4 hours. But after you kind of go through the first kind of cycle, then I went traveling, came back, and you kind of learn to manage your time. You learned how to delegate. You understand that you can do a lot, help a lot of people, and what I'm trying to do as well. And thanks to that, they usually help you as well. So my policy is I do as much good as possible, and hopefully the people I help will help me in the future. So far, it's been playing out quite well. Okay, I will finalize with that. I'm sorry, I have a board meeting at 2 o'clock, so I have to leave. If you have any questions about me or my past or anything like that, my connections are now on the slide. If I will not get back to you in a couple of days, I'm really sorry about that, but I will not forget your email. It might take me sometimes a week or two, but I will get back to you. And if it's a good idea, I will certainly help you. So thank you one more time, and we'll see you again. Thank you.